if you want to get that numeral stuff. So it says, let's see. Acha hadvarim haele haya devar Adonai el Avram במחזה לאמור. Okay, we'll stop there with our little etnachta, the fishbone, the wishbone guy. That's the Hebrew equivalent of a semicolon in English. It's like a semicolon. Okay, so that's why I like to stop there and we check out what it says. So it says, after these things, right, what we just heard in the previous passage, the war, right, that Avram had to fight. Hayad devar Adonai el Avram. In the Hebrew is kind of weird. Most English translations do not translate this literally. I'll be literal. Haya, happened, devar Adonai, the word of the Lord. The word of Adonai happened. Haya, he happened. Unto Avram. So the word of the Lord happened to Avram is really what it's saying. Or like was, right? Or existed. It could mean changed, but that doesn't really work here. The word of the Lord changed unto Avram. No, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like he became Avram? No. That would be phrased differently anyway. But it'll probably be like hitapech or something. But it's interesting, isn't it? Usually we have to say came, right? The word of the Lord came to Avram. Or the word of the Lord came to Yirmiyahu HaNavi or such and such like this. But this is how Hebrew does it. And it's talking about the divine oracle. And it's interesting. Okay, I'm going to erase the chicken scratch now, so hope you got it. Let's see, I think we can. Okay, no. Ah! My notes keep jumping in and stealing the thunder. All right, erasing the chicken scratch. So we can see the note. Keep seeing that moon, it kind of makes me want to howl. Howl! Are there any other lunatics in the kahal? Luna. All right, I think that's enough. We'll leave our 9 plus 6. For those of you who have trouble with basic arithmetic, there it is. Enjoy, you're welcome. It's homeschooling from our Midrash. Okay. So I want to ask you guys the question. Since we're slowing down and looking at things, what is it that appeared to Avram? Is it Adonai who appeared to Avram? Is that what the text is telling us? It's the word of Adonai that appeared to Avram. That's right, Ted got it. The word, exactly. I have my little special Hebrew notes. You can probably see the aleph and the tav. There's a bit of a hint there in the verse, but now it's interesting. According to the engineer turned Bible scholar Roning, the Jewish Targums and John's Logos Theology, he says that the word of the Lord which came to Avram is rendered in a fragmentary Targum of the Pentateuch. That's like a piece of the Targum that they found. And this is not from the Geniza stash. This is from elsewhere. I think it's in Israel. Which came to Avram is rendered a word, a Meymra, from before the Lord. Isn't that interesting? So this Targum fragment he's talking about says a word from before the Lord appeared to Avram. I put that in there because I know some of you are really interested in Targums. I think the Hebrew is more poignant here. We don't have to go into Aramaic to get the special significance. Except that the Aramaic is treating this as Meymra, right? I think this is telling us that. Well, the word. You know who the word is. Who is the word of the Lord? Who's Tologos? Who's Meymra? Who's Devar Adonai? Indeed. Tet writes Yeshua. He appeared, or he came to him. It's questionable whether Avram actually saw him or not. He's being a messenger in a way. Bamachazeh, and this is also interesting. The Hebrew wording is a bit strange. So I don't know how the English translations usually put it, but if I was being hyper literal, I would have to say in the vision. But it just sounds odd in English. You'd think that it said in a vision. Yeah, look at this. Nice, Tet. Tet's connecting our last verse that we showed on the previous page to this one. You guys get that? She said, is the place Mamre pointing to Meymra? And also the man Mamre, right? That fought with Avram. This mysterious man we don't know anything about. Halot, the scholarly Hebrew lexicon, just tells us a friend of Avram. I mean, supposedly. Did the Meymra participate in that battle? You bet he did. Avram had, 318 soldiers? Going up against several kings? You better believe the Meymra was involved. At the very least, directing angels or something. Yeah, I don't think it's a mistake. It's nice you caught that, Ted. I don't think it's any mistake at all that we get a place called Mamre, we get a man called Mamre, and then right here we have Davai Adonai, which of course in Jewish Aramaic is Meymar or Meymra. Yeah, it's really something else. And it's interesting, the Hebrew says he appeared bamachazeh. If we wanted to say in a vision, Hebrew, we'd say bamachazeh. Like you guys are probably familiar by now, like I talk about in the beginning of Genesis, in the very first word, it says be-reshit. The means a. Be, in a, reshit, in a beginning, right? If we wanted to use the same words and make it say in the beginning, we would say ba-reshit. The means the in Hebrew, right? Same thing here. If we want to say in a vision, it would be be-machazeh. We have ba-machazeh. With a, look, there's a dagash in the mem. You can't miss it. It's definite article. So that's odd. He appeared in the vision. So, of course, this is probably to demarcate it from all other visions that Avram would have. Lamor, saying, Atira Avram, Anochi magen lach, Sachar harbe meod. Do not be afraid, Avram. And it says al instead of lo. So it's not a command, don't be afraid. It's a suggestion. At least for now. It's temporally constrained. For now, do not be afraid, Avram. Anochi magein lach. I am your shield, is really what this says. Although it's interesting, we learn from Ugaritic with the same consonants, there's another word. Instead of magein, it could also say magan. Magan, it could say, which would mean, I am your suzerain. Your suzerain. Suzerain is a fancy word to mean like the Lord who supplies your needs. For example, in a feudal estate, you've got the suzerain, and you have his like farming vassals, right? The people who they live on his land, and they do like crop sharing on the land. If the Lord of the land gets mad at them and kicks them off their land, they'll starve, right? So there's this understanding of that's what a suzerain is. The suzerain is the one who gives funds to the scholars, right, to help them study, etc. That's the suzerain sort of relationship. If the suzerain is mad, the scholar starves, right? Because what's he going to do? Go out and sell his scholarship on the street, right? No, you got a farm or something. So it's possible that the Torah here actually says, Anochi magan lach. I am your suzerain. Or maybe Hashem even intended a double entendre here. I am your shield. Clearly, Avram already knows he's the shield because he attacked immediately last time, following the virtue we learned that if a relative of yours is in danger, you should be willing to risk your life. The sages teach us from last week's parasha. We learned that from Avram's behavior. Remember, with Judaism, we do not just learn from the example of Yeshua. Yeah, there's lots to learn from Yeshua. He is HaMashiach. He's the greatest person who ever lived, right? I mean, he's the ultimate example. He's the sinless being in the universe, right? I mean, human being in the universe, on the human side, right? He's the divine in man, all that great stuff. But we also combine the Jewish perspective that we can learn halakha, we can learn lessons from the righteous figures in the Bible. And surely, Avram, who later gets renamed Abraham because he is the friend of God. He's the only person that Scripture refers to as God's friends, right? At least let me say the fathers, friends. Because some of you surely will come at me, but wait, Yeshua said to his disciples, you are my friends. Okay, so let me back up. The Father. He's the only person who gets this title as like God understanding the Father's friend. Yod-He, Vav-He's friend. And so I think it's kind of likely that it might really be saying magan here. I am your suzerain. Right? Because look what follows. A lot of times very often in Hebrew, we have to determine the nuance of a word based on what's called Hebrew parallelism. The stylistic features of the biblical Hebrew is oftentimes you'll express a concept twice in a sentence. Or sometimes you'll express opposites, so they kind of define each other by their opposite natures, right? Like a fool is like such and such, and a wise man is such and such, right? So you get opposites helping to define one another, and sometimes you get the same thing, right? You get two examples of the same sort of thing. So if this is like I'm suggesting, if I'm understanding this to be Suzerain, then we would expect to find some kind of parallelism about that in the next verse. Now check it out. The next verse, Sechorcha charbe me'od. Your Sachar. Sachar? Who knows what that means? Sachar. Oh, I'm sorry, this is in Hebrew class. I won't delay on that. Wages. Wage. Your wage. Harbe. Are many. Let's colorize that and focus on that for a second. Your Sachar. This would be a good word for any of you who'd like to learn Hebrew. And if you don't know the consonants yet, learn siyn. That could be your letter for the day. Siyn. Look at this guy over here. He looks just like Sheen. Oi! Burke. What happened? Did I just end my slideshow? I think I ended my slideshow. Lord have mercy. And there's no way to cancel out, is there? Let's see if I... Oh, mamma mia. Okay. That will affect me on checking the time later. Sorry about that. I pressed a button on my stylus and it did that. So now it resets the timer. So I'll just have to remember 36 minutes plus that. Okay. All right. Hi. It's jumping forward because I'm not in my drawing mode now. Sorry. So if you've learned Sheen already, which was one of our letters of the week, the dot is on the right side. That's a sh. With this one, it's over here on the left side. This is a s. Okay. Sheen and siyn. Okay. All right. Sachar, your wages. Of course, I'm your suzerain. I'm the one who decides how much you get paid. I am your Patreon. So I think we might have a double meaning here. Sometimes the text does flirt with more than one meaning to a word or a root. Not always, but sometimes it does. Like the case we got into last time about the nachash, right? Sacharacha, your wages, your wage, harbe. It's lots. Me'od, exceedingly lots. Because I'm your suzerain, right? See, if you just go with I'm your shield, what does it have to do with your wages? You see what I'm saying? If we just go with the way the text is pointed, magen, shield, then we miss out on the nice Hebrew parallelism, that's the mathematical parallel sign, between these two verses. I mean, these two parts of the same verse. So I'm kind of leaning towards this idea I've got that it might be, right? Baruch Hashem. Oh yeah, Naomi points out the same root as Yissachar, right? Or Yissachar. It's a very weird word that one of the scenes in there doesn't have a dot on it. Yeah, good point. Good point, Naomi. Thank you for that. Yissachar in English, much easier. Now I will show the traditional point though. Actually, I want to show you if we this word is used in Psalm 3. And I just want to quickly go through this. Actually, maybe, let me see. How many slides have we done? Okay. Trying to time it right to let you out on time. Okay, let me see what it feels like going through the psalm. I'll try not to stop and talk too much about it. Mizmor LeDavid, a psalm of the genre of David's psalms. Bevorcho mipnei Avshalom, when he fled from the presence of Avshalom, his son. Ironic, father of peace, his name. Adonai ma rabu tzarai, rabim kamim alai. Oh Adonai, how numerous are my troubles, or my enemies. And then the ma, we would use again here, ma, for those of you in the Hebrew, it's doing double duty. How, we say how again, how many kamim alai are those who stand up against me, indicating rebellion. Verse 3. Rabim omerim lenafshi ein yeshu'ata lo. Ve'elohim selah. Many are those who, and here I have an Ugaritic marker showing we could maybe treat this word. Amar in Hebrew usually means to say, but in Ugaritic it's got a meaning to watch, right? So how many are those who you could maybe say, my life? They're like eyeing my life, right? They're waiting for an opportunity to pounce. And now we go on, but say also works too. There is no salvation for him. And this bait is probably meaning from, not in, from God. Selah. Yeah, I think we're okay to read the whole psalm. Time's okay. I'll just keep it quick. Verse 4. Ve'ata Adonai. Here it is. Magen ba'adi. Kevodi umerim roshi. But you, oh Adonai, probably evocative here for the Hebrew students. Oh Adonai, are magein. So it could mean shield. It could be this concept of the magen Avram, the shield of Avram, magen Dovid, right? Or in Yiddish we say Mogen Dovid. You ever heard of a Mogen Dovid? Who knows what a Mogen Dovid is? Mogen Dovid. You go to a jewelry store in Boston or New York or someplace with lots of Jews. You go to a jewelry store and you say, hey, I want a necklace that's a Mogen Dovid. It's like this. I did this when I was about to be a foreign exchange student in Russia before becoming a missionary. Because, there's a lot of anti-Semitism in Russia, so I was a young, stupid kid. I wanted to flash off, I'm a Jew, do something about it. So I got myself a nice big Star David to wear on my chest. Kids do stupid stuff, don't they? Come get some, Goyim. Come get some. I'll give you your change. So that's a Mogen Dovid. But it's from magen David. So it comes from Hebrew, magen David, into Yiddish, Mogen Dovid, which means shield of Abraham. Shield of David. So it was believed in tradition that this was a sign that David had on his shield. He'd have on the left arm, while he had his short sword in the right hand, right, while he's fighting the Philistines, right? So, but also symbolic about who is the real shield of David. The real shield of David is the same entity who is the shield of Avram. And of course, I've got it marked here. This is what these little, you see the green marker? This means we could change the vowels. It might be magan. It might be Suzerain. Right? Oh Adonai. And then we have this yod here. It's doing double duty here, right? So this happens in poetry. You don't have to put a suffix on every word. You can borrow from other words in the same sentence in Hebrew poetry, in the ancient style, right? So, you, O Adonai, are my shield, or my suzerain. Ba'adi, in my existence. Kevodi, you see the little crown here on Kevodi? This is probably divine epithet to God, saying my glorious one, right? A title for God. Oh, Kevodi. You could use this in prayer if you like sometime, especially if you're one of our prayer warriors. We have some people that are real intercessors in our kahal, Baruch Hashem. I know Annie likes to do intercession a lot, and some others of you. It really makes a big difference, right? Oftentimes we can get stuck, as sons and daughters of Israel, we can get really mesmerized by study, but don't neglect the prayer, right? We don't want to neglect the times for intercession. And I'm not talking down; I'm talking to myself too, right? I can get so hypnotized and into studying, and then, oh my gosh, need to really pray about this, right? The importance of spending time in prayer. And so here's a new title you can call Hashem sometime when you're in your prayers and you're feeling excited and fervent and led or whatever. Call out, Kevodi, my glorious one, as David does here. Umerim roshi, and the one who lifts up my head. So this, of course, is an ancient Hebraicism. To lift up the head, it has many different meanings, right? So sometimes we use a different verb for it, nasa, noseh roshim, or merim, okay? So, the lifting up of the head, it can mean you're being found innocent, right? Or it can mean you've been exalted to a high position, right? The king is lifting up your chin, right? And he's about to give you a promotion, something like this. Verse 5, Koli el Adonai ekra. This is an accusative means. It's coming before the verb. That's a sign. By means of my voice, I have called out, right? I called out with my voice. V'ya'aneni. And he answers me. Mehar kodsho, from his holy mountain. Selah. Which is something like stop and think about it for a moment. Verse 6. Ani shachavti va'ishana. Hekitzoti. Ki Adonai yismacheni. I myself, this ani is redundant. I myself laid down, right? So he doesn't have guards around him or anything like this. Va'ishana, and I fell asleep. Hekitzoti, I awoke. Ki Adonai yismacheni, because, or this could be, I didn't mark it, could be emphatic key, exclamation point. So we might not even have to say it. We might just say, Adonai Yismacheni supports me. From samach, to support. Interestingly enough, this is the same verb that's used in Leviticus when the priests are to lean on an animal. In that case, it means to lean. They put their hands on it and they lean on his head, right? Like, imparting all the sin into you, take it. And then they kill him, right? But in this case, it's not that he's leaning on us. The roles are reversed. When Adonai is the subject of many Hebrew verbs, it has a slightly different meaning. Here it means supports me. He supports me. This is actually also the word where we get ordination from in Hebrew. Smicha. You'll hear people say smicha. Oh, where did you get your smicha, right? What organization is your smicha? That's ordination, right? Implying the leaning on of hands. Or smichut. For the Hebrew grammar nuts, that means, that's how you say, what's it in English? The construct form. Smichut. Okay, let's get to this. Verse 7. Lo ira mervavot am. I shall not fear from the myriads of people, or the tens of thousands, or if we change the vowels, it could mean the shafts, right? Like the tops of their spears, right? If you change the vowels a little bit. Asher saviv, who surround, shatu alai. They are set against me. Verse 8. Kuma Adonai, Hoshi'aini Elohai, ki hikita et kol oivai lechi, shinei resha'im shibarta. Arise, O Adonai. Save me. You guys see the Yeshua in here? I've been teaching my intermediate 2 Hebrew students for a while that verbs that have a vav in them, or yod, oftentimes you'll see the yod can become a vav or the vav become a yod, right? So if we change it to a yod, you can recognize it, right? Yesha, right? Salvation. Yeshua, salvation. This is a causative verb. He felt, Hoshieni, save me, rescue me. Oh Elohai, oh my God. And in this key, it's emphatic. It's like an exclamation point. And this, hikita, it looks like you struck, but it really means, may you strike. Oh, that it would be that you would strike. It's a precative perfect. Et kol oivai, all of my enemies, lechi, on the cheek. Shinei resha'im, the teeth of the wicked ones. Shibarta, may you smash them. And then the very last line, Ladonai haishua, al amecha bichatecha selah. This is a lamed vocative, so it means, oh Adonai, the salvation. Adonai is the Yeshua. Look at that. Adonai Yeshua, with your people, or he is the salvation with your people. Birchatecha, is your blessing. Okay, I'm sorry. Adonai is the salvation at nachta. Stop. Semicolon. With your people is birchatecha, your blessing. Selah. Isn't that something? So here we have this nice connection of magen and lach, and here it also works, either as shield or suzerain. Either meaning really works. We have some good comments over here in the comment section. Tet refers to Psalm 18. You can read it there if you want, guys. It's there in the comment section. Yeah, that has, when it says, I love you, Lord, in that psalm, it's not the verb we would expect. I think it's erchom'kha, right? Which is kind of interesting, because rachem is the verb for to have pity or to have mercy, to be convinced. But when it's used poetically in this way, it means I love. It's a very rare poetic word. So that's a beautiful thing in the psalm that you're pointing out. I believe Psalm 18, that's what it says for I love you, O Lord. I believe it says erchom'kha, right, with rachem as the root for that. Like when we say Adonai, it's got a different meaning, right? Like when we say rachem alai, it's have mercy upon me, O Adonai, right? But when we're saying it to him, obviously, clearly we're not having mercy on him. We're loving him. We're showing love. Just a poetic usage of the word. Usually we'd say ahav, right, for to love. Tet says, Berean Study Bible, the nobles of the nations have assembled as the peoples of God, of Avram, for the shields of the earth belong to God. He is highly exalted. Psalm 47:9. Thank you for that, sister. Excellent, excellent. I appreciate how the Holy Spirit moves among the kahal. Kind of a small turnout today. I guess some of the people are still goyim, huh? Still goyim. Just kidding. I know it's got to be difficult. You guys have, lots of you come from families where the family's still doing. I have to rob Rabbi, what's his name? I wanted to say Rabbi Malchisi. Mizrahi. Chris Mouse, right? A lot of people doing Chris Mouse still.